Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm talking about three of my favorite quick passing game route concepts in order to get the ball out your quarterback's hands quickly. First thing I have drawn up here is just a simple full slide pass protection. Got each offensive lineman sliding to the left. You got your Liz, Larry, Leo, whatever L word you want to use to let your offensive line know everyone's responsible for the gap to their left. Can make a video a little bit more nuanced about the protection, but as you can see, running back is going across the formation to kick out or protect backside C gap. All right, so first we'll talk about hitch, right? It's a couple different ways you can run it. Just first off, talking about the hitch route in general. For me, I'd like for them to get to about 6 yards and come back to the ball. Make sure you're emphasizing to young players that's important to attack the football right downhill, make it a little bit easier for this corner to make a play on it. All right, so again, that's 6 yards coming back to about 5 or 4 yards, expecting that ball to kind of be placed on your outside shoulder. For your number two receiver, just running a seam, right? You could go all stick as well, where this guy is also running a stick. For me, I like to run it a little bit more, as a what you would call a hickey concept, where again, you're running the seam here based off the safety alignment. Maybe you can do a couple things where you're teaching this guy to get vertical and more toward the sideline, taking that shot to see if this corner is going to play down, and if you might also be able to beat the safety, in this whole shot, maybe here. Right? So maybe if you have one high safety where this free is more of the middle of the field player, you got a safety coming down to play this flat down here. All right. So maybe then you're talking more about hitting the shot more toward the hash. All right. So same thing over here. I like to run mirrored concepts for my quick pass game, probably for most intermediate and deep passing concepts as well in the lower levels. But here, again, talking about the safety alignment, might be a little bit different with the too high safety. Maybe you're threatening this safety vertical, right? Maybe an option to break it off more, towards the middle of the field, depending on what's open or what you talk about throughout the week for your game plan. All right, so now we're talking about 3x1 set. So again, which I might have mentioned previously in other videos, right? We have more of an X receiver here who's going to demand a double team, can beat one-on-ones and be pretty reliable and consistent getting open, right? So depending on the depth of these outside corners, maybe you're in a situation where he's pressed up and you can convert these hitches to fades, right? Probably an outside release, go ball, depending on this corner alignment, if he's playing soft or if he's pressed. But this number three receiver to the 3x1 side, you could have him run the hitch as well, right? Maybe, still creating some type of a shot where you can hit this seam. Another thing that I would like to do, in terms of our install, is to have this number three receiver thinking about getting to the same landmark that he would if he was in a 2x2 set, right? So if it was 2x2 and you're attacking the seam, right, maybe getting to somewhere near the hash mark, right, you could just have this number three receiver run more of an over or crosser route, right? So he's still going towards the opposite hash, right? But now he's just getting over these linebackers, right? Over the top of the linebacker depth, right? And trying to attack the middle of the field, right? Getting maybe a nickel or a safety, maybe someone to run with him, right? Maybe he's getting this opposite safety to pick him up across the field. And now we turn this back to a one-on-one with our X receiver. All right, so now I'm talking about stick. For me, I kind of think of stick as like the inverse of your hitch concept or hickey, right? So something I forgot to mention about hitch is that also, depending on man or zone, if you diagnose something during the week that you like to take advantage of, you could also convert maybe these hitches into a 5 yard in, right? Just to make sure that if this corner, if he's playing man, right, we're able to run away from him as opposed to sitting and being static allowing this guy to make a play on the football. But again, as I mentioned with the the hitch, all right, you want to get the ball out your quarterback's hand pretty quickly, right? So sometimes this might mess up the timing of that. Quarterback's holding on to the ball a little bit longer than he probably should, waiting for this guy to come open underneath, but could be a nice adjustment if you needed it. All right, but then again, going back to your stick concept, right? That's where you could utilize taking advantage of some space underneath a little bit more, especially if you're seeing two high safeties. So again, the way I think of stick is now instead of your outside guy running the underneath route, now you have your outside guy running a outside release go ball, right? He's getting vertical, and now your number two is the one who has a stick route, right? So he's still taking advantage of a similar flat space that he might be getting by the defense. Same thing on this side, right? Running that stick route, 6 yards. Now he's turning to his outside shoulder, right? He's breaking out instead of breaking in like you would with a hitch. Same thing for this receiver, outside, release, getting vertical. All right. Another thing you could do here, which I would consider more of an Ohio concept, right, is now you have speed outs instead of running this stick, right? So if you're running the speed out, not quite getting to 6 yards, right? So maybe it's more of a 2 to 3 yard, vertical push, and then he starts rounding it off, breaking this out route to about 5 yards. All right, so same thing over here. You could run this speed out, right? Maybe you have a defense that's running, more of a two read situation where this corner has his eyes on number two. Number two goes to the flat, so now he's going to come up and play, and now you have a safety who has to get to the hat or to the sidelines as quickly as possible, trying to take away that vertical threat by your outside number one receiver. All right, for now 3x1 set, again, you can do a lot of things with this backside receiver, right? You can leave him pushing vertically depending on leverage. All right, you could also, maybe if you're closer to the red zone, right, where you want to take advantage of getting this guy toward the middle of the field, right, especially considering the concepts are going to be outside the hash or toward the hash on this side. Maybe you're running a slant just to keep these guys backside a little bit more honest. But yeah, for this number three receiver, right? So maybe this is a mandatory speed out for your number two when it's 3x1. And now your number three is the one running the stick who's going to sit and settle in this space here, right? So now you're kind of forcing, at least one of these guys to get to the flat. Again, if it's, more of a true cover two or more like two read where your corner is responsible for the flat. Now again, you're taking advantage of a whole shot here. If this safety is, not great at getting over it, taking care of this number one receiver over the top, right? Or you can take advantage of this space if this nickel is overplaying the flat, if he's the flat defender, and now you have a nice shot where this number three receiver can settle in and wait for the football. All right, now talking about the slant, back to our 2x2 formation. Slant, pretty much, one of the first route concepts that most young receivers learn. Just talking about the slant in general, pushing vertically for whatever your rules entail, right? It could be 3 steps or it could be 3 yards, right? Might be a little bit different for each offense, right? But he's pushing vertically and breaking route on an angle, ready for the slant pretty quickly here off the break. All right. So again, mirrored concepts, running the slant on both sides. Right now, you can do a couple things similar to the hitch, right, or the stick as well, where you're running all slant. Right, everyone's got the slant. Right, you could run all stick, you could run all hitch. Really, again, depending on maybe safety depth or the space you think you can take advantage of underneath. What I typically prefer, right, is our number twos running something to the flat, right? So a lot of lower level quarterbacks might not be able to get the ball, out for this arrow route or maybe like more of a speed out similar to stick or Ohio type concept, right? But another thing you could also do, just to make that throw a little bit easier, you can have number two run the bubble, right? So now you're putting it, in his front shoulder, letting him run underneath it, and then still getting him some momentum going downhill to make a move in space. And then lastly, for 3x1 against the slant concept, probably the easiest thing to do just to keep it consistent with with your players, um, where you have now you're just essentially getting an extra guy involved in the slant, right? So now you can go double slants, right? And now you have your number three receiver running the arrow or the bubble, whatever you'd like to run to get you to the flats, right? So now number three has the bubble. Really, nothing changes front side here. Probably just thinking about this as more of a pre-snap read to the single side receiver. If you like it, you can probably take that one step drop, look and throw the slant right away. Especially if you're tying this into some RPO concepts where your will linebacker has run fit responsibilities. So now you're creating some space to throw that slant right behind them. Post snap, I'd be looking to the trip side. Now you have double slant, so maybe you're trying to see if this nickel or either Sam linebacker, or maybe he's even a true safety, type of personnel, right? But you're reading to see which slant he runs with. Maybe he's taking away the first slant. You have a second slant coming right behind him, thinking that this number one receiver can beat the corner, on that step, getting a step on him. If not, maybe this corner is the one who has to play the bubble or anything you have to the flat. So, really, these are concepts that are just allowing your quarterback to get the ball out quickly, taking advantage of soft coverage where you think your guys can win underneath. But yeah, any of these adjustments, really, you could run it where every kid or every skill position is running the same route, or you can kind of implement these different rules to take advantage of wherever the openings are in the defense. So feel free to comment down any other suggestions or adjustments you make to your quick game offense. For me, primarily, learned the game of football from an offensive line perspective. So it's been pretty cool to grow as a play caller and try to learn new tricks and techniques to apply to my offense in terms of the passing game. So again, feel free to comment and reach out with other adjustments or things that you prefer to do with your offense. And happy to consider making those adjustments to how I call plays in the future.